Hi Mario, and
Hi.
welcome to your Arc Daily interview.
Hi, thank you.
So let's start talking about Salone del Mobile. For the 60th edition, you have curated a large project titled Design with Nature, where we are seated right now. What can you tell us about this installation and about the subjects it brings forward?
Yes. Well, this is the 6 years of Salone after 2 years of missing Salone in Milan. And the organization asked me to make an installation about sustainability. This pavilion is dedicated to companies that are already engaged in sustainability in material and process. So we designed things because the question is what sustainability mean in an exhibition. No? So my first thought after 2 years is to make a sort of a landscape, then we can gather it together. It's a bookshop, you can read, you can watch in material, you can have a nice lunch, you can sit in there. So I thought this idea to stay together again was very important because the message is about sustainability is about every one of us. It's not about something else. It's what I'm doing, what you're doing, what everybody can do. And that's what we are expressing in this exhibition.
Interesting. So you do use the word ecosystem a lot. Can you share with us what is your definition of the word ecosystem?
Ecosystem is about complexity, and I find, especially being an architect, it's very related to the complexity of make buildings, which is design, but also connection with material, the social impact of buildings in people. So I think the buildings or architecture is an ecosystem between what you build and what people living in, and how the people creating relationship with the building and with the city. So it's really a sort of a connection between people and space. So for me, that is the ecosystem with nature. It's always action and reaction between plants, animals, and sun and climate. So buildings in the end is something like this. And I like to associate this to our profession.
So how did this commission start and what was the initial brief that was asked from you?
Well, the commission was asking from Salone to say we want to do a very important installation about sustainability because Salone is visited by many people, professionals, also young professionals, producers. So in the Salone, tell the story like this is a message very strong for the very wide community because people come from all around the world. And I think like a Biennale, if you say something here, the eco is very important because if they do, that means something. No? Maybe that is the line to go. Maybe this is the way with the future. So I think that was the idea of the Salone, and I was pleased they asked me to do it, and that's it. That's what we did in the last few months.
So to start sharing ideas for the future, basically.
Yeah, industry of furniture is very, very large in Italy especially, and consuming a lot of material. No? So I think the message was how we can do better. There's a way to make better our production, reducing the impact of material in furniture areas. So I think the installation is tell people then yes, we can use a natural material instead of the oil material or coming from old industry, using what the nature do every day, like leaves and fish things and skin of fruit to make many other things. And I think the message is strong because you know around is the best industry in Italy and the world, but also they can understand that there's another way it's possible.
Speaking of materials, you actually say design with nature for new materials, for a new habitat, for a better city.
Yeah.
So why do you believe that cities could be possible reserves of the future? And what do you actually mean by that?
Well, the message was the city is a mine because in the city, all material they're already there. The concrete, steel, glass, aluminium, everything, and the city is always change. They're working on, they build new building, demolish. So a lot of material existing already in the city. Why we don't reuse this material, at least for a part of this, to rebuild our city? So that's the idea that maybe city is always seen as a problem, environmental problem. Maybe we can see city as an opportunity to reduce the impact of new material and reusing what exists already in the city, reducing the waste and reusing material for making new buildings. I think everything is really possible. We need only the process on.
So how do you perceive the future of living since this installation is part of this concept?
Well, the future of the living is after these 2 years, we learn about a lot of things. And I think one of the things we learn more is we need to creating more public space. The city need to be more public. We need more park. We need more pedestrian areas. So I think everybody realize that we need to change our idea of the city, in a more human scale cities, And I think this is what politics start to understand, but design, of course, is the challenge.
So human and nature in cities, more human and nature in cities.
Yeah, more friendly relation with nature. Not only it's not an object, it's not something to see, but something that you can live on. We for many years we went against nature. We're building against nature. Now it's time to refine this friendship. To build building they are not against. They're open. You can open the window. You can use the fresh air. You can have more tree to clean in the air. Also to get more quality of life. Because I think this idea of reducing the impact, the human in the city, is to try to live better in the city, to get better time, more clean. Then my kids, they can go in a park and they can go on bicycle, and then my life is much better. So I think the goal is this one.
Circular economy, reuse, environmental impact are at the center of a lot of your projects, whether they are installation, whether they are architecture, exhibitions, etc. So how did you come up to this understanding, and when did this become a pillar of your design?
Well, it's a long story, but the idea of sustainability is really recent, only in the last, I say, 100 years. Because before there was no question. Always we using and reusing material. Always we using natural material and natural resource. Using the sun, the wind, the rain. So we forgot everything. But the history of humanity is related to the complicity with nature. We forgot. So I think my ideas from the beginning is only to rebuild a bridge with our story, with our past. And try to rebuild this knowledge. So I'm not fan of the past. I'm not nostalgic. But I think in the past there is a lot of knowledge that we can use to make our better city. It's actually the goal and the agenda for 2030, 2050 is a very ambitious agenda. And the major point is reducing human being impact, reduce the CO2 emission, reduce consumption of energy. Yeah, we did that for 1,000 years. So now is only try to refine the connection with that knowledge and make better buildings and better life. Nothing new, but time is different. There are more people, and city is more complex. So I think we have a lot of things to learn from the past, and in our time is to make a new interpretation of that knowledge. So for me, that is the roots of architecture. Always like this. We never beat against human and against nature. So now is find again, and then I think architects, they have a very high responsibility, because we can make beautiful things, make a beautiful social impact buildings or not. So that's the responsibility we have.
Well, going back to the basics of architecture.
Yeah, the roots, Then the tree of the roots maybe are different, but the roots are very important.
Speaking of sustainability, can you tell us a bit more about your work with the School of Sustainability?
Well, School of Sustainability was our social responsibility as an office, because after 30 years of work, our knowledge, of course, was growing, and we said we must share this knowledge now, and give this knowledge to the young generation. But also, I'm very pleased to work with the youngest, 25, 23, because they also give back to us the vision of the future. Because my vision of the future is different. A lot of these young people, they born already with the idea of ecology as a part of their life. So I think the school is this, it's an exchange between knowledge and vision of the future. That's the School of Sustainability.
And what are some of your ongoing and upcoming projects?
Well, Milan, they give us a lot of challenges. So we do a lot of very beautiful things here in Milan. It really is one of the European cities where there's a lot of things doing. Maybe because already many cities in Europe they did before, And we do a museum, archaeological museum, combined with our contemporary art. So it's a new idea of visiting a museum where you don't only see archaeology, but you're connecting with the contemporary time. So I think this is very, very interesting. We do a tower in the center of Milan for an insurance company, very particular construction. But also we engage on affordable house. So we do outside Milan, very close. We do a new neighborhood for affordable house, which is almost finished, which is combining the idea that the house for middle class, they need to be not only beautiful, but we need to, instead to make big buildings, we make a small building. We build a little neighborhood, with a beautiful park, all pedestrian. So I think we just give a model of new way to habitat in the outside the city center, and this I'm very pleased.
And also housing is the biggest challenge that cities have to face also.
Yes, and also, we in Italy we say centro storico and periferia, and I think the city is not anymore like this. The city is one city, maybe it is a historical part and the modern part. Today, also after the COVID, I think the modern part, they have a very big challenge to be used again as an opportunity. It's a more big space. There's a more close relation with agriculture, with parks. So it's a new way to live. And I think also because in Italy, 80% of people living in the modern part of the city. So it is the vibrant part of the city. So for that, we do also a project for the Expo area 2015. Now with the land lease, we make a new master plan for a sort of a dream. What will be the city of tomorrow? It's a green city, it's a connecting city, it's a public city, it's a more public space, and the public space is the way connecting people. And I think this is a very beautiful project too.
And outside of Italy, what other projects you are working on?
Well, we're working in Tirana, Albania. We have just one building almost finished, another one is on construction now. We won a competition in Australia for a new building on the seaside. So we
You're
do
all
some
over the
work in
world.
Saudi. So but I quite like working in Italy because I think in Italy need a very good architects because we need to build schools. I'm very engaged in schools. We did a beautiful project about make a school for kids because schools is the first public space for a kids. They get out of home, a comfort, mommy and daddy, and they go in a public, in social space, which is no more family, is teachers and friends. So we need to build a space to make that people feeling safe, and also they can imagine. It's not a room with a doors and a window. It's a place where kids can imagine a new world. So I think schools is really, really beautiful. It's a great opportunity for an architect to live that memory because I remember still my kindergarten.
Really?
Yeah, I remember. And then I discovered 55 years later that was designed by a modern architect called Giuseppe Vaccaro, which is mean I still remember, which is mean the architecture travel in your memory. It's mean because I remember my kindergarten because it was a special building and discovery many years later then was designed by an architect, a modern modernist, Giuseppe Vaccaro. And for me, the story is architecture doesn't move, but travel in a memory. So leave you a good memory, your experience, the light, the way you met your first friends. So I think it's a very, very interesting work to do. Design school for kids is fantastic.